There is a continent where time doesn't simply move forward, it coils back into circles of memory. Where the ancient isn't buried, but still alive, in stone, in temples, and in the eyes of its people. Where nature isn't still, but roars through volcanoes, breathes deep in the jungle, and melts slowly through icy rivers. This is the Americas. A land of beginnings, kishin, and unhealed fractures. From forgotten civilizations to cities born of hope and exile. Every landscape has a soul. Every soul, a legend waiting to be told. And this journey is your key to unlocking 1,000 worlds hidden within one continent. So tell me, where will you begin? With the echoes of Machu Picchu, the salt flats that mirror the sky, or the streets where salsa and sorrow dance hand in hand. Come with me, from north to south, across 20 untold stories, 20 heartbeats sync to the rhythm of this land. Your compass is curiosity. The map, rewritten with every step. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share video. And now, the journey begins. Brazil. A land where forests stretch like emerald oceans. A coastline where beach follows beach, infinite as breath. A place where samba rhythms, carnival colors, and burning passion pulse through daily life. Brazil isn't merely a nation, it's a current. A constant movement. A living continent that breathes. This is Brazil, where every dream carries its own song. An immense territory, ranked at 5th in the world by Southern. From its northern tip to the southern edge, spans a distance equal to London and Cairo. Larger than continental Europe, spanning 4 time zones, each region tells a distinct story, pieces of a vast, vibrant mosaic. Our journey begins with water. Along more than 7,500 kilometers of Atlantic coastline, the sea meets shores that seem drawn from a dream, from the unspoiled islands of Fernanda Dorona, to the golden dunes of Jericho Aquara, to Porto de Galinhas, where natural pools shimmer beneath the sun. But Brazil is far more than its beaches. To the north, near the borders of Venezuela and Guyana, Mount Roraima towers like a flat-topped citadel, guarding Tepequem, the birthplace of the Cotingo River, flowing south into the vast Rio Branco. Further west, in the eastern Andes of Peru, the monarch of South American rivers is born, the Amazon. Stretching nearly 7,000 kilometers, it pulses through the heart of the continent. In the rainy season, its waters can swell up to 50 kilometers wide, carrying more volume than the 10 next largest rivers combined. Holding 12% of the planet's fresh water, the Amazon is a biological wonder without rival. Such richness drew the first Portuguese explorers. In 1500, they brought their language, religion, and traditions, leaving a lasting mark that made Brazil the only Portuguese-speaking country in the Americas. Yet Brazil's essence lies not only in its wild landscapes, but in its people. Just as the Amazon gathers countless streams, Brazil has welcomed waves of migration from every direction. It's home to the largest Japanese community outside Japan and a tapestry woven from indigenous, African, Portuguese, Italian, German, and Arab influences. Deep in the rainforest, 305 indigenous groups still preserve 274 ancient languages in a sacred bond with nature. These cultural currents come alive each year in Carnival, a European-rooted tradition now transformed into the world's most spectacular celebration. In Rio, massive floats glide through the streets. telling stories through music, movement, and dazzling light, reflecting a country of contrasts where freedom and passion speak louder than words. And if Carnival is Brazil's heartbeat, football is its soul. The country holds a record 5 World Cup titles, more than any other nation. And for Brazilians, football is not just a game, it's a way of life. From Pelé to Zico, Romario to Ronaldo, and now Neymar. These aren't just athletes, but cultural icons. Masters of the Jogo Bonito, the beautiful game. That same spirit has placed Brazil among the world's 10 largest economies. For over a century, it has led the global coffee trade and today excels in soybeans, sugar, iron, and oil. But beyond the statistics lies a land of extremes, where towering metropolises like Sao Paulo sit beside sprawling favelas, telling a story of ambition, disparity, and resilience. Yet at the table, those divides fade. Feijoada, a hearty black bean stew, blends African and Portuguese roots. Pão de queijo, warm and chewy cheese bread, reflects time-honored tradition. Açaí, the forest purple jewel, brings the vitality of the Amazon to city streets. And churrasco, Southern-style barbecue, celebrates community and togetherness in every sizzling bite. This is Brazil, a place where nature and humanity, heritage and progress converge in a dance without end. And here, the journey into the extraordinary is only just beginning. Our journey begins in northeastern Brazil, where sand and water merge in a mesmerizing display, Lençóis Maranhenses. Situated in the state of Maranhão, near the Atlantic coast, this is one of nature's most remarkable spectacles. At first glance, it resembles a vast desert, endless white dunes stretching into the horizon. Yet this is not a barren land. Rather, it is a dynamic landscape where wind, sand, and rain shape a living canvas that evolves by the day. From March to September, heavy rains will fall over the region. In their wake, thousands of turquoise lagoons appear among the dunes, still, pure, and ethereal, as if painted by an invisible hand. A hidden layer of impermeable rock beneath the sand retains the rainwater, transforming dry valleys into shimmering pools. Reflections of the sky and sun turn each lagoon into a kaleidoscope of color and light. With every rainy season, the terrain reinvents itself. The dunes shift, sculpted by wind into crescent shapes and moving gently as though the landscape itself were breathing. A delicate rhythm of motion and stillness plays out across the sands. Lençóis Maranhenses is more than beautiful. It is singular. Covering over 156,000 hectares, it lies at the intersection of three major ecosystems: the lush Amazon rainforest, the grassy Cerrado, and the semi-arid Caatinga. This rare meeting point has produced a rich biological mosaic, home to species found nowhere else on Earth. Between these pale walls of sand, silent lagoons mirror the sky, drawing explorers in. Visitors venture across the terrain on foot or by four-wheel drive, climbing to the tops of dunes to witness the endless view, an ocean of sand woven with clear, glistening pools. The ideal time to visit is from June to September, when the lagoons are at their fullest. Sunlight glances off the water, wind stirs gentle ripples, and shifting clouds paint the surface in ever-changing tones. Yet Lençóis Maranhenses is not merely a geological marvel. It is also home to communities who have lived in balance with this environment for generations. Their way of life, modest, grounded in the rhythms of nature, has helped preserve the fragile harmony of the region. From the crest of a towering dune, the horizon seems to vanish. The deep blue of the sky melts into shimmering waves of sand and water. The silence here is nearly surreal, as if time has slowed so you can feel every breath of wind, every shimmer of light, every heartbeat of the earth. Lençóis Maranhenses is not just a place. It is an experience, Viayam, a rare and living gift from the planet itself, meant for those who seek untouched beauty and the quiet wonder of the unknown. Jericho Aquara is a secluded coastal village nestled between towering white sand dunes and the Atlantic Ocean, where there are no paved roads, only winding sand tracks that cut through the shifting hills. At night, the village remains unlit by streetlights due to local regulations. The sandy paths are illuminated solely by moonlight and the shimmering stars above. Many visitors come here to disconnect from the pace of modern life and immerse themselves in the tranquil embrace of white sands, golden sunsets, and soft ocean breezes. The name Jericho Aquara is believed to come from the Tupi phrase, Jericho Aquara, meaning hole of the turtle, referring to the beaches where sea turtles once came ashore to lay their eggs. Geographically, Jericho Aquara lies on the western coast of Ceará state in northern Brazil. For a long time, it was little more than an isolated fishing village, almost completely cut off from the outside world. Modern amenities were virtually absent. Electricity only arrived in 1998, and until then, power came from diesel generators. Even today, reaching Jericho Aquara remains an adventure. Jericho Aquara gained an international fame after a 1990s article in the Washington Post named it among the world's 10 most beautiful beaches. That recognition triggered a tourism boom, transforming the once remote fishing village into a global mecca for windsurfing and kitesurfing. To protect its pristine surroundings, the area was declared an environmental protection area in 1984 and later a national park in 2002, with strict building regulations to preserve its untouched charm. The village remains small, home to roughly 4,000 residents, and exudes a laid-back, bohemian spirit shaped by surfers and artists alike. Its streets, still covered entirely in soft sand, see little to no traffic. The village's elegant and minimal layout makes it a pleasure to explore on foot, winding through sandy alleys that feel like they belong to another era. As night falls, Jericho Aquara takes on a rustic yet lively charm. Candlelit bars and cafes come alive with live music, while the absence of public lighting leaves the town bathed in the gentle glow of lanterns and starlight. A highlight of any visit is climbing to the top of Dune do Pôr do Sol, the sunset dune, each evening. Locals and travelers alike gather here to witness the sun melt into the ocean, painting the sky in ever-shifting hues. On especially clear days, a lucky few may even witness the rare green flash, a fleeting emerald spark as the sun disappears beyond the horizon, adding a layer of enchantment to an already magical sunset. Not far from the dune lies the stunning natural arch of Pedra Furada, a massive coastal rock sculpted by wind and waves, with a window-like hole opening onto the sea. It's one of Jericho Aquara's most iconic photo spots, especially when bathed in sunset light. Scattered among the inland dunes are crystalline freshwater lagoons like Lagoa do Paraíso and Lagoa Azul, where calm waters mirror the skiwa. Visitors can relax in hammocks suspended over the shallows or try their hand at kite surfing on breezy days. Thanks to its strong and steady winds year-round, Jericho Aquara is known as a paradise for wind-based sports, offering ideal conditions for windsurfing, kite surfing, and sailing almost all year long. As the day fades, Jerry's Beach becomes a stage for spontaneous capoeira circles. Local performers dressed in white showcase Afro-Brazilian martial arts with fluid, dance-like movements, accompanied by the rhythmic beat of drums. A cultural touch that enhances the sunset spectacle. But Jericho Aquara's allure goes beyond nature. Local legend tells of an enchanted princess turned serpent, cursed by an evil sorcerer and imprisoned beneath the village lighthouse. According to the tale, a magical kingdom full of treasures lies hidden beneath the rocks, sealed behind a massive iron gate that can only be opened by a human sacrifice. Only human blood, it is said, can lift the princess's curse. If the gate opens, the hero must draw a cross in the serpent's back with that very blood, at which moment the spell is broken. The princess returns to her radiant human form, surrounded by untold riches, and the entire golden city, long hidden from the world, will appear. The hero would not only gain unimaginable wealth, but also win the princess's eternal gratitude and her hand in marriage. Yet the price is so terrible that no one has dared to attempt the ritual. And so, the serpent princess remains trapped in her magical realm, waiting for a brave soul to release her. Folklorists believe this legend likely traces back to Portuguese oral traditions, bearing striking resemblance to Iberian tales of the Muras Encantadas. Enchanted Moorish maidens cursed to guard treasure until freed by a hero's blood. Such myths add another layer of fascination to Jericho Aquara, blending natural splendor with the mystique of fairy tale. Today, Jericho Aquara is truly a destination like no other, a place where untouched beaches, shifting dunes, and rich folklore coexist. Whether drawn by the adrenaline of ocean winds, the serene beauty of sunset over shimmering lagoons, or the whispers of ancient tales, visitors find in Jericho Aquara an experience that stands apart from anywhere else. In this remote corner of Brazil, the line between reality and legend begins to blur. Jericho Aquara is a paradise where the spirit of discovery drifts in every sea breeze, and every story told feels like part of a dream. Leaving Jericho Aquara, where sunsets melt behind white dunes and sea breezes rustle through coconut palms, the journey ventures farther still, out into the deep blue ocean, where an isolated, untouched, and mesmerizing world awaits. Fernanda Dorona rises like a dream from the sea, a place where every sound softens, and sunlight seems to dissolve into the turquoise waters. Gone are the dusty red roads of the northern mainland. Here, only the boundless ocean remains, along with towering cliffs where sea turtles silently glide past shimmering coral reefs beneath the waves. Fernanda Dorona, a name that sings like a melody, yet carries within it a layered chronicle of conquest, exile, and reinvention. The first European to lay eyes on this archipelago was the Italian navigator Amerigo Vespucci, who reached it in 1503 during his second voyage to the New World. However, the islands were named after a Portuguese merchant, Fernando Dorona, who financed the expedition that charted the territory. By the early 16th century, Fernando de Noronha had become a rare example of private colonial ownership within the Portuguese Empire. Initially, it served as a logistical outpost for harvesting precious timber, especially pau-brasil, the crimson wood that would ultimately give Brazil its name. But its remote position in the Atlantic also made it a prime target for pirates and rival European powers. Throughout the 17th century, the islands were seized intermittently by the Dutch and later by the French, constructing an expansive defensive network that included over 10 coastal forts. In the 18th century, the Portuguese reclaimed the archipelago, constructing an expansive defensive network that included over 10 coastal forts. The weathered stone walls that still stand today are silent sentinels of a time when Noronha played a strategic role in controlling South Atlantic maritime routes. Eventually, the island entered a darker, more solitary chapter. In the early 19th century, Fernando de Noronha was converted into a penal colony, a place to isolate political dissidents and common criminals. Surrounded by the vast ocean, it was the ideal outpost to banish those whom the state wished to forget. For nearly 150 years, the island became a place of exile, not only for inmates, but also for their guards. A popular saying arose: to be sent to Noronha was to be erased from the mainland. In the 20th century, following Brazil's transition to a republic, the island was repurposed once again, this time as a military base of strategic importance. During World War II, with support from the United States, the Brazilian military established radar stations here to monitor German submarine activity in the South Atlantic. Remnants of runways, watchtowers, and communication hubs still linger across the island, quiet witnesses to its wartime role. At the time, Dorona was almost entirely closed to civilians. A small, self-contained community, mostly composed of military personnel and their families, lived in isolation amid the ocean winds. It is said that, for years, no one could leave the island unless under emergency circumstances. Only toward the end of the 20th century did Brazil begin to reopen the island, eventually transferring administrative control to the state of Pernambuco. From then on, Dorona slowly reemerged, this time as a travel destination, albeit one deeply rooted in memories of seclusion. Today, remnants of its prison era remain. Abandoned cells, sentry towers, and military ruins continue to face the sea as if time has stood still. Now, when travelers arrive in Fernando de Noronha, they encounter not only turquoise waters and dolphins, but a landscape haunted and enriched by its past. Beneath the coral reefs lie layers of geological memory, while above ground, vestiges of foreign rule and forgotten regimes linger in stone. Noronha is more than a tropical escape. It is where history and nature coalesce, forging an identity that is both poignant and profound. A paradise that once served as a prison. A fortress that became a home. A military outpost now turned into a sanctuary for sunset chasers. On Fernando de Noronha, the past is not buried. It whispers through the wind, echoes along the sun-scorched walls, and lives on in every grain of sand. And it is these layers of memory that give the island its true beauty. Not just in what the eye can see, but in the quiet depths of what the heart can remember. The Pantanel of South America is the largest wetland in the world, covering nearly 180,000 square kilometers across Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay. This untouched wilderness transforms dramatically with the rhythm of its two main tropical seasons, the rains and the dry. During the rainy season, rivers swell and overflow, turning the entire region into an immense inland sea, submerging more than 80% of the floodplain. Water stretches to the horizon, merging rivers and grasslands into a vast aquatic world. In the dry season, as the rains cease and waters recede, a labyrinth of lagoons and winding channels is revealed. Wildlife converges around the remaining pools in a fierce struggle for survival. Fish trapped in isolated ponds become a feast for predators of all kinds, from birds to caimans. The creatures of the Pantanel have evolved to withstand this cycle of flood and drought, shaping one of the planet's most unique wild havens. It is also known as the realm of the jaguar, the largest feline in the Americas and the elusive king of the forest. This region boasts the highest jaguar density on Earth, with an estimated 1,000 individuals roaming freely in the wild. Each adult male jaguar can command a territory up to 80 square kilometers, prowling riverbanks and dense vegetation in search of prey. Hidden in tall grasses along the river's edge, the jaguar stalks its preferred target, sunbathing caimans. When the moment is right, it strikes with astonishing force, biting through the skull and dragging the lifeless body into the thickets. In the harsh, dry season, thousands of caimans crowd into shrinking lagoons, basking tightly on cracked mudflats. There may be as many as 10 million caimans living in the Pantanel, the largest crocodilian population ever recorded. These ancient reptilian predators lie motionless in the mud, waiting patiently for fish or birds to come within striking range. Above the wetlands, the sky bursts with life and color, the high-pitched cries of scarlet ibises, the thunderous flapping of jabiru storks, and the chattering of hyacinth macaws. The largest flying parrots in the world, with wingspans nearing 1.5 meters and brilliant cobalt feathers shimmering in the tropical sun. Each evening, thousands of birds return to their roosts, painting the Pantanel's horizon in vivid streaks of crimson and blue as daylight fades. The region is also home to giant otters, nearly 2 meters long, hunting in coordinated groups and even capable of driving away jaguars when threatened. Along the grassy riverbanks, herds of capybaras, the world's largest rodents, graze peacefully but remain alert, ever wary of the dangers that lurk nearby. Pantanel shelters around 2,000 plant species and thousands of animal species. With over 460 bird species, more than 260 types of fish, over 230 mammals. And roughly 140 reptile and amphibian species recorded within its ecosystem. At dawn, mist lingers above the water, and the Pantanel slowly awakens to the cheerful songs of birds greeting the new day. The rising sun bathes the vast marshlands in golden light, revealing a world teeming with life. Herons take flight from treetops. Fish leap to catch insects. And in the distance, a jaguar silently watches the dance of all things. Largely untouched by human hands, the Pantanel remains one of Earth's last truly wild and pristine ecosystems. It stands as living proof of nature's unmatched biodiversity when left in control. A rare and magnificent wilderness still thriving in our modern world. Far from the wetlands of Pantanel, where jaguars roam and silence lingers, lies another Brazil entirely. In this realm known, wilderness yields to steel and glass, and life no longer follows the rhythm of rising floods and receding rains, but obeys the pulse of traffic lights and looming deadlines. This is Sao Paulo, affectionately known as Sampa, an immense urban giant that eclipses all others in Brazil and across South America. More than 12 million people call the city home, and over 22 million live within its ever-expanding metropolitan sprawl. From above, it unrolls like an endless concrete tapestry, stitched with high-rises beneath skies often veiled in mist and smog. Its very scale has become its signature. Understanding Sao Paulo, however, today requires more than a glance at its towering skyline. One must trace its story back to its modest origins. The city was founded in 1554 by Portuguese Jesuit missionaries, who sought to convert the native Tupi people. And in honor of St. Paul, Sao Paulo began as an isolated inland settlement, far removed from coastal trade. This remoteness, at once a setback, soon became a strategic asset. From here, bandeirantes, explorers, and fortune seekers launched expeditions deep into the interior, claiming new lands and capturing indigenous slaves. By the 18th century, Sao Paulo had grown into a vital supply base for the gold mines of Minas Gerais. Its true metamorphosis, though, came in the 19th century during the coffee boom. The city evolved into a major export hub, drawing waves of immigrants in search of new beginnings. Italians, Portuguese, Germans, Japanese, Arabs, and Jews arrived, blending cultures into one of the most diverse cities on Earth. As the 20th century dawned, Sao Paulo emerged as Brazil's industrial powerhouse, attracting laborers from every corner of the country. It became a crucible for social upheaval, workers' movements, and avant-garde cultural revolutions. In 1922, the Week of Modern Art, held here, redefined Brazilian literature, music, and visual expression. Growth followed a relentless pace. Skyscrapers multiplied. Suburbs crept outward. Infrastructure struggled to keep up, giving rise to pressing issues, housing shortages, gridlock, stark economic disparity. Even so, Sao Paulo remained a beacon of possibility. A popular saying in Brazil captures it well. Sao Paulo is where you work, Rio is where you live, Bahia is where you celebrate. This city has long been viewed as the place where dreams are built through persistence rather than ease, a city of ambition, not indulgence. In recent decades, a quiet transformation has taken root. Neighborhoods like Vila Madalena, Pinheiros, and Moema have blossomed into creative enclaves. Following the 2006 ban on outdoor advertising, once blank buildings became vibrant canvases for street art, adding color to the city's gray facade. The culinary scene reflects this rich mix of cultures. On a single street you might find Italian-style pizza, Japanese sushi, Arab kibbeh, and Brazilian churrasco, all side by side. In Liberdade, the largest Japanese community outside Japan celebrates its heritage beneath red lanterns and rows of mochi stalls. Elsewhere, Avenida Paulista, the financial artery of the city, pulses with protests, parades, and festivals. Music fills the air. Hip-hop, experimental beats, impromptu performances, each adding to the city's layered rhythm. Beneath the surface noise lies a place of paradoxes. Disciplined yet unruly, methodical yet artistic. Every district, building, and alley tells a story, part of a vast, sleepless organism. Paulistanos may not offer smiles as freely as the residents of Rio, yet their pride runs deep. In resilience. In reinvention. in rising through adversity. Sao Paulo may not dazzle instantly. It reveals itself gradually, in corners, conversations, and the quiet determination of its people. Here, anyone, whether a newcomer or a nameless dreamer, can leave a legacy. Within the haze of smog and the glow of neon, life plays out in earnest. Struggles unfold. Triumphs echo. This is the city of unending ambition, where past and present intertwine to shape what lies ahead. And for those willing to look closer, Sao Paulo always has another secret to share. On the eastern coast of Brazil lies a city seemingly carved from light and air, Rio de Janeiro. From above, Rio unfolds like a ribbon, weaving around granite peaks and emerald bays. Its story begins in January 1502, when Portuguese explorer Gaspar de Lemos sailed into Guanabara Bay, mistaking it for the mouth of a great river. From that misunderstanding came the name Rio de Janeiro, the River of January. But long before Europeans arrived, this land was home to the Tupinamba people, one of many indigenous groups who lived here for generations. In the centuries that followed, Rio became a hub for transatlantic slave ships and a major port for exporting gold, sugar, and coffee. By 1760, it had risen to become the capital of colonial Brazil, and in a remarkable twist of history, it later became the capital of the entire Portuguese Empire when the royal court fled Napoleon's invasion in 1808. It remains the only time the European empire was ruled from the other side of the ocean. The royal presence sparked a cultural awakening. Libraries, banks, and academies of art began to emerge, laying the foundation for a new kind of city. Yet Rio's most iconic symbol wouldn't appear until centuries later. Atop the peak of Corcovado, where Christ the Redeemer stands. With arms outstretched 30 meters wide, the statue appears to embrace the entire city below. Inaugurated in 1931, it stands not only as a monument to faith, but to forgiveness and protection, a silent guardian above forest and sea. From its feet, the full panorama of Rio comes into view. There lies Copacabana Beach, where every morning joggers trace the shoreline. And every evening the pulse of samba rises from the seaside bars. Nearby is Ipanema, immortalized in the song The Girl from Ipanema, a bossa nova tune that traveled the world. Beyond the beaches, Rio is encircled by Tijuca, the largest urban rainforest on Earth. Its trails, waterfalls, and native wildlife are proof that in Rio, nature is never far away. Another iconic site is Sugarloaf Mountain, a 396-meter granite monolith rising beside the bay. At sunset, its peak turns gold, a moment so perfect it turns every photograph into art. No wonder locals call this place Cidade Maravilhosa, the marvelous city. Culture here pulses through every beat and color. From neighborhood samba schools to the world-famous Carnival, Rio doesn't just celebrate, it explodes in rhythm and joy. Carnival is more than a parade. It's a spectacle of feathers, movement, and meaning. Samba schools train all year to tell stories of history and struggle, not with words, but with music and dance. Yet Rio has another side, the favelas, steep hillside. Communities where daily life is both hard and full of heart. It's from these neighborhoods that street artists, musicians, and football legends rise, shaped by resilience, driven by hope. In Rio, music comes from rooftops and in backyards. Bossa Nova was born on its beaches, and each afternoon feels like an open-air concert. Every alley whispers a story. Every square becomes a stage. Whether you come to relax, to explore, or simply to feel, Rio offers something unforgettable. This is not a city to be merely seen, it's a place to be experienced with all your senses. In the heart of Brazil, where ancient stone layers whisper tales of hundreds of millions of years, there lies a land that feels pulled from myth. Chapada Diamantina. This isn't just a national park. It's a living, open-air geological museum. Towering tabletop mountains, sheer cliffs, and a labyrinth of underground caves were all shaped when Earth was still part of the supercontinent Gondwana. Geologists believe the bedrock of Chapada Diamantina dates back to the Precambrian era, more than 570 million years ago, making it one of the oldest landscapes on the planet. Back when Africa and South America were still joined, this region sat near what is now Namibia. Time and weather sculpted the terrain into a stunning mosaic: deep canyons, jagged ridges, and waterfalls that seemed to fall from the sky. With an average altitude of 1,000 meters, some peaks surpassing 2,000, the region's ecosystems shift dramatically. Tropical Atlantic forest gives way to dry brushland, and every living thing here bears witness to nature's talent for survival. Orchids cling to rock faces. Shrubs rise from cracks in stone. Species like the Lumashell hummingbird or the rare Adamantinia orchid exist nowhere else on Earth. Scattered between rock layers are clear, mineral-rich pools, some with a reddish hue stained by iron. Beneath the surface are caves like Gruta da Pratinha and Poço Azul, hidden underground lakes that shimmer like crystal, silent chambers of life and mystery. But Chapada Diamantina is not only a geological marvel, it's a place of history. In 1840, the discovery of diamonds in the Rio Mucugê sparked a migration frenzy. Diamond seekers set up camp along the riverbanks, eventually founding the town of Lençóis, named after the linen-colored tents that once blanketed the valley. By the late 19th century, Chapada Diamantina became a mining powerhouse. Stones from this land were used in monumental projects, from the Panama Canal to railways in London. The French even established a consulate in Lençóis, building colonial villas, some of which still stand today. But no treasure lasts forever. As diamonds dwindled and richer mines emerged in South Africa, Chapada slipped into silence. Then came 1985, and with it, a new chapter: conservation and ecotourism. Today, travelers no longer search for fortune beneath the soil. They hike through rivers, scale cliffs, swim in sapphire caverns, and watch the sun set from Morro do Pai Inácio, once a lookout for gemstone hunters. They listen to wind echoing through the canyons and feel the force of nature and time pressed into every stone. Chapada Diamantina is no longer the diamond plateau of the 19th century, but in the 21st, it shines as one of Brazil's most treasured gems. just 25 kilometers apart along the coast of Rio de Janeiro. These two towns are living proof of what happens when ocean currents collide. Here, between the cold waters of the Antarctic meet warm tropical flows, creating one of the richest marine environments in Brazil. This confluence gives rise to a unique ecosystem, home to over 500 marine species. Thanks to a phenomenon called upwelling, nutrient-rich waters rise from the ocean floor, sustaining everything from sea turtles and dolphins to migrating whales. The beaches themselves are shaped by deep time, silent witnesses to 130 million years of geologic history. This is where South America once tore away from Africa, leaving behind fossil-like dunes carved and layered by the wind for centuries. The coastline is more than scenic. It's a living museum of Earth's restless evolution. Arraial do Cabo, often called the Brazilian Caribbean, offers crystal-clear waters and some of the best diving in the country. Búzios, just to the north, winds across a peninsula graced with 23 crescent-shaped beaches of soft, white sand. Once a quiet fishing village, Búzios gained fame after Brigitte Bardot's visit in the 1960s and has since become a favorite escape for artists, travelers, and sun seekers. Its narrow cobblestone streets, upscale boutiques, and seaside restaurants create a blend of rustic charm and refined elegance. Together, Arraial do Cabo and Búzios form a stretch of coastline where nature, history, and leisure meet the sea. In Salvador de Bahia, every street corner echoes a fragment of history, but one story often remains in the shadows. The story of the African people who were once trafficked, oppressed, and who later rose again through culture. In the 16th century, when the Portuguese first invaded Brazil, they brought with them a plan, not just to extract gold, silver, or land, but to exploit human lives. At first, they attempted to enslave indigenous populations. But when faced with fierce resistance and high mortality rates, their gaze shifted across the Atlantic. From Nigeria, Angola, the Congo, and as far as Sudan, Millions of Africans were captured and forced into cramped, dark holds of ships, enduring voyages that lasted 1 to 2 months across the ocean. Salvador was one of the 3 major slave ports in Brazil, alongside Recife and Rio de Janeiro. But it was Salvador that became the first and largest gateway during the early years. It's estimated that nearly 5 million Africans arrived in Brazil, with Salvador as the primary entry point, a place some scholars refer to as the African capital of the New World. Here they were treated as cargo, sorted, auctioned, and sent off to sugar plantations, mining fields, and colonial households. The Mercado Modelo, now a bustling tourist spot, and was once a slave market. Its walls have witnessed the cries, the despair, and the silent endurance of human suffering. Beneath the cobblestones of Pelourinho, today vibrant with color, lie the memories of whips, long nights without freedom, and unspoken resilience. Yet it was also here that Afro-Brazilians forged something new. In secret, they gave life to Candomblé, a religion that merged African deities with Catholic symbols, quietly but persistently surviving. Capoeira, the martial art disguised as dance, emerged as a form of subtle resistance. Black women were among the first to sell street food, not only feeding themselves but preserving ancestral flavors through dishes like acarajé and vatapá. Today, Salvador is home to the largest population of African descendants outside Africa. Around 80% of its people trace their roots back to the continent. Across the city's walls, murals depict Yemanja, the goddess of the sea, and the Orishas, the sacred spirits of African cosmology. Here, also, skin color is more than memory. It is identity, a driving force behind the city's music, cuisine, rituals, and proud street parades. That is why Salvador is not just a city, it is a living chronicle, where history is relived daily through drumming, dancing, food, and dreams of freedom finally fulfilled. After the vibrant rhythms of samba and the dazzling colonial relics of Salvador de Bahia, one might ask, where does Brazil keep its most unspoiled natural beauty? The answer lies in Ilha Grande, a car-free island where rainforest, ocean, and firefly-lit night skies come together to craft a living legend of the wild. Off the coast of Rio de Janeiro state, Ilha Grande is a world where Atlantic rainforest and sea meet in a near-pristine embrace. Spread across 193 square kilometers, ancient jungle blankets rugged mountains. With Pico de Papagayo rising 982 meters high, a natural lighthouse above the endless green. Can you imagine a land with 63 freshwater streams weaving through the tangled roots of centuries-old trees, nurturing life at every turn? These interlaced root systems do more than hold the soil. They form natural highways for over 15 species of primates to travel freely through the forest canopy. There are no roads or cars here, only forest trails connecting 34 untouched beaches. Among them, Lopes Mendes stretches nearly 3 kilometers and is considered one of Brazil's finest beaches. With powdery white sand and water so clear, you can spot fish swimming around your feet. Beneath the surface, more than 150 fish species coexist with sea turtles, rays, and meadows of seagrass quietly maintaining ecological balance. Inland, the Gruta do Acaya glows with a surreal turquoise light. Zrania, a rare natural phenomenon created as sunlight refracts through a submerged chamber of crystal clear water. Local communities continue to live traditionally, rowing wooden boats across sheltered bays and fishing much like their ancestors did generations ago. Ilha Grande is not just an island, it's a living ecosystem, a complete slice of original nature preserved in time. And if you're seeking a place to hear the forest, the waves, and perhaps your own breath, could this be the perfect place to pause? Chapada dos Veadeiros, a vast expanse of 65,000 hectares in the state of Goiás, is where ancient quartz formations give rise to a landscape so otherworldly, it feels like a distant planet. Over 120 waterfalls cascade through deep canyons carved by millennia of erosion, creating a panorama that is both grand and spellbinding. Almecegas Falls crashes in a plume of white spray, while Dos Curos Falls winds through the forest as a chain of jade-green pools. Then there's Saltos Falls, a natural marvel where crystal-clear waters invite you to soak and replenish your spirit. Perhaps most surreal of all is the Valley of the Moon, where smooth as silvery rocks, shaped by water and time, echo the surface of Earth's lunar companion. From Mirante da Janela, a lookout point carved into the cliffs, the entire Chapada mountain range unfolds beneath the fiery hues of sunset. This is also the last stronghold of the Cerrado biome, Brazil's vast tropical savanna, where maned wolves and giant armadillos still roam across the wild grasslands. Chapada dos Veadeiros feels like a land born of myth, a timeless realm nestled in the heart of Brazil. Chapada dos Veadeiros is more than a destination. It's a journey into the life, beauty, and spirit of Brazil's Central Highlands. Leaving behind the enchanted landscapes of Chapada dos Veadeiros, where emerald waterfalls in the Valley of the Moon etch themselves into memory. We journey southward toward a very different Brazil, where a striking new landscape awaits. Named Sharp Stone in the indigenous Tupi-Guarani language, Itambezinho Canyon stands as one of Brazil's most awe-inspiring geological formations, nestled within Aparados da Serra National Park. Stretching nearly 6 kilometers long, 600 meters wide, and plunging to depths of 720 meters, Itambezinho is among the largest canyons in the country. Its vertical cliffs seem to slice the sky itself, creating a landscape both overwhelming and majestic. From the canyon's heights, waterfalls tumble hundreds of meters into lush green valleys, painting scenes of raw, untamed beauty. Visitors can explore 3 renowned hiking trails: Trilha do Verdes, Trilha do Cotovelo, and the demanding Trilha do Boi. Of these, Trilha do Boi is the most challenging, an 8-hour journey that requires a professional guide. It descends deep into the canyon, where hikers can swim in the river and stand at the foot of the falls. For a gentler experience, Trilha do Cotovelo offers a 6.3-kilometer path along the canyon's edge, relatively flat and accessible, with breathtaking vistas at every turn. From these high viewpoints, the grandeur of Itambezinho unfolds from multiple angles, revealing its geological power and ancient grace. Surrounding the canyon is a forest of ancient Araucaria trees, remnants of a prehistoric era still alive in every towering trunk. The air here is cool and fresh. The sound of flowing water echoes through the gorge, composing a natural symphony that invites stillness and awe. Itambezinho is not just a destination, it's a passage through layers of earth and time. A place to witness the deep, untouched wilderness of Brazil. So, are you ready to step to the edge of this extraordinary wonder? As our journey through Brazil comes to an end, we've crossed white sand deserts, vibrant cities, and mystical highlands. Each place echoing with the voice of nature, the memory of history, and the longing of its people. But South America doesn't end here. Just across the border, Colombia awaits. With a rhythm all its own, vibrant, layered, and richly woven like a tapestry of many cultures. From the timeless stone plazas of Bogota to the mural-lined alleys of Medellin, from the sounds of vallenato drifting across the highlands to the living traces of indigenous, African, and Spanish heritage. Every dance, every dish, every ritual tells a story. So now take the next step. Colombia is waiting.